Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge with your latest football news. Conor Gallagher leaves Chelsea. What a joke. An absolute disgrace, I think. And this is modern football for you. There are so many issues with the Premier League, in my opinion, but this is a new theme in football now, where Premier League clubs have found another loophole where they can sell young players who really should be part of the club's future, its identity, its fabric. They're selling them off to generate funds to go and buy players from, not their youth who may well fail. I mean, if you look at Chelsea just this summer, all three outgoings that have raised money have been from their youth system. Amari Hutchinson, Lewis Hall, and now Conor Gallagher. So 18 years Conor Gallagher's been at Chelsea, and he's surplus to requirements because Todd Boehly and his money machine need to generate pure profit so they can buy some other player that might fail. It's a weird way to run a football club. It is very NFL, actually, when I think about it. It's very franchisey. It's very, how do we raise money to bring a player in that's going to, sell a few more shirts. It's not really what football's always been about. Football, the pride of having a player that's been part of your team from a very young age, playing in a Chelsea shirt. Look, I'm not saying Conor Gallagher's the best player in the world, but I actually think he was one of Chelsea's best players last year. And when he plays for Chelsea, he plays for the badge, which is something that football fans appreciate. What are you going to replace him with? Some player that comes in from who knows elsewhere. Maybe they work, maybe they don't, maybe they do well, and then they want to go and play for Real Madrid. I think that that purity of football and the essence of players that have been part of your youth setup is important. And for some reason, the Premier League have created this loophole where it's now actually advisable for teams like Chelsea, Aston Villa, Everton, Newcastle, Man United, Man City, and others to sell younger players that have come through your youth setup because it looks better on the books. It's just weird. It's weird to me, and I don't agree with it. But I know the comments will be like, "Wow, he wasn't that good. He's a load of shit." That's not what my point is. I mean, I watched Chelsea a lot last season. I thought Conor Gallagher was one of your better players, so I don't agree that he's useless. I'd have took him at Man United. I think Villa would have took him at Villa, but Chelsea are like, "No, we want to sell you, and you're not being sold to a Premier League club." So effectively, right at the last minute, Conor Gallagher's decided to take the Atletico Madrid move because it's pretty much the only thing he can do. Look, I don't agree with it. I think when we're seeing it more and more, and when football clubs are now seeing younger players as assets to generate profit because so they can prioritise the mercenaries, I think it's not a good look for football, and it's a bit of a concern, really. But It might bite Chelsea in the arse because I'm not saying Conor Gallagher was John Terry, but these players can have a connection and an understanding with the fans and what the club is all about, and they can be worth their weight in gold across a season if things start to go badly. We're led to believe that the new manager doesn't like Conor Gallagher's style of football, but Pochettino, one of the reasons Pochettino wanted to go was because he was told that people like Conor Gallagher would be sold to generate funds. So it's funny how the story can change to, well, Pochettino left because they were trying to sell Conor Gallagher and he didn't want to do it, to the new manager doesn't want Conor Gallagher. But maybe the board meeting was, if you're going to take the job from Leicester, Conor Gallagher's not part of the plans. That's fine by me, because we know that they were trying to get rid of Conor Gallagher last season. So it's not got nothing to do with the new manager. Chelsea want to sell Conor Gallagher because it's £33 million of pure profit they can use for something else. That's why they want Conor Gallagher to go, because they can't sell anybody else. Like, Chelsea need to sell to buy, and they cannot sell anybody else. So if Conor Gallagher had stayed, that will stop Chelsea buying other players. I completely get and understand there'll be people in the comments saying, well, we need to sell him because we need to generate money. Exactly, you're right. That's the truth. The truth is you needed to sell him to generate funds. I'm just saying, I think it's sad the way we're seeing this merry-go-round of young players now, some of them being sold for ridiculous fees as well. I mean, the fact that Amari Hutchinson went for £23 million is amazing to me. But they also spent £22 on Kellerman from Aston Villa. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a weird one, I think, but I don't like this. I don't like the way that this is going, because I think that at the very core, at Manchester United, bringing young players through and then becoming future first team players is something we're very proud of at Manchester United. And I think it's the same at Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, and everywhere else as well. So to now live in a world where I spoke about the Premier League FFP rules. I think they're a joke anyway. I think the transfer window isn't as good as it should be because clubs are having to operate very, very carefully. And maybe Chelsea will say, well, look, the only way we can generate funds to be active in this window is by selling the players that are most valuable to us on the books. And the way FFP works at the moment, a homegrown player is far more valuable than a player that you bought 2 years ago from Atletico Madrid or Juventus. And that's true. So the rules at the moment actually make it beneficial to sell a young player that's good in your club that maybe came through the youth system. Exactly. I mean, look, if Chelsea sell Raheem Sterling, he ain't going to be worth anything compared to Conor Gallagher when it comes to FFP, because they only bought Sterling a couple of years ago and he will have gone down in value. So even if you could get 30 million for Sterling, he's not going to go down as 30 million profit like Conor Gallagher will. So there's a problem with the rules. I think there's a problem with the rules in general at the moment. I think football in the Premier League is going through a weird stage, and I think the transfer window is certainly a byproduct of bad rules at the moment. But it's sad to see Conor Gallagher going. I mean, look, he's going to Atletico Madrid. Trippier did it. It didn't do him any harm. He might become a better player for it, but I think it's a loss to the Premier League. I do think he's genuinely a good player. When I heard Villa were going to go for him, I thought that would be a good signing for them, but Chelsea wouldn't do that deal. I'd have took him at Man United. I think he's better than a lot of the midfielders that we've got. Certainly better than people like McTominay and Eriksen at the moment. But obviously Chelsea wouldn't do that deal. So he ends up in Spain, and Chelsea end up with 33 million that they'll probably go and buy on a player that in 2 years they won't be able to sell. So they'll have to sell another young player that's coming through. And that is the cycle of football at the moment. I think if you've got Man City have been doing it for years. They get a good young player from their youth system, they send them on loan to the Championship, and then they sell them for 20 million. And Man City fans probably never know who they are. There is a conveyor belt of young talent at Premier League clubs at the moment that are being they're just being grown to be sold. It's just a tactic, and to me, it's lopsided. So you buy some player from the French league for 50 million who flops. 2 years later, you should be selling him, but you can't sell him because there's no value in him. So you sell a young player. Surely you're weakening your squad in the long term, retaining all the shit, and farming these younger players that you can sell for pure profit. I don't know. Get your comments in below. Smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. Let's see what happens over the next week. It could be a very interesting week as we approach the start. We're only 1 week away from my Premier League predictions. I booked it in Sunday afternoon, a few pints down the pub, get home, film Premier League predictions, and it goes up like last year. That's how close we are to the start of the season now. Podcast coming out today as well. Goldbridge Saves Football. Get ready for that. Speak to you all in a bit. Take care.